What is going on? Zero Dab 30. It's been about a week since we got in these Goodwills. Gonna go check out the inventory. Just as we've been doing all month, gonna be looking for valuable video games that slip through the cracks. I'm gonna be looking for Blu-rays to add to the collection. Have the day off, so I'm gonna try to hit several Goodwills, maybe even some pawn shops, depending on how far down into Tucson I make it. U of A doesn't play till 8, but I think I would rather slit my wrist in the bathtub than watch U of A play another game. Let's go take a look. Look at that beautiful Saturday inventory. Have a lot of information to give you guys about their inventory process I learned this last week. I'll probably make a midweek video discussing it, how they do it here and how they do it at a lot of different Goodwills. Help you guys out in the future knowing when to come in and what to look for. The soundtrack though. Poor Xbox, it's been here like 3 months. This is getting bought for sure. Just games, man. The inventory coming in. This is one I don't see too often. I always see 3. Or no, maybe it is this one, the one with all the custom characters on the different consoles. Amped 2. So many games today. And then check this out here. Uh-oh. Oh, good. That was lucky. Couple things to note over here. GameCube games continuously showing up, so either people are donating trash shovelware or Goodwill is sending all these to the auction. But every week I come in, I see a different GameCube game, which is awesome. And then Believe, I'm picking this up. Absolutely love this movie. A lot of critics hated it, kind of schlocky, didn't age too well, but really like that, like tech, like hacker. And of course, all hackers are ripped and perfect physique, like Hugh Jackman in the early 2000s and Halle Berry. So that's usually what computer hackers look like. This is a great game. Don't see it on Xbox too often. It's definitely a multi-plat, fantastic condition. So I'm probably gonna be picking this up. Nice condition, Final Fantasy X, $5. This doesn't have the disc. Disappointing. Would have picked that up. And a couple more Blu-rays here. Quintessential pseudo-intellectual middle schooler. Actually, still kind of enjoy this movie. Might pick it up. A beautiful ray of light. Hitting the road, fantastic inventory. Unfortunately, very busy. Weird people like lurking around me at every corner. So talking about stuff and filming myself was a little bit difficult, a little bit awkward. Definitely missing that second person to at least make it look less bizarre. Someone mentioned that I was their favorite autistic YouTuber, and to all the people in Goodwill, I'm sure that's how I appeared, filming myself talking about 10-year-old children games. But amazing find, amazing inventory. Let's go hit some more Goodwills and maybe a Salvation Army as well. And let's see if we can keep this inventory going. That was an amazing load of stuff. I didn't even take everything. There's a lot of stuff on shelf still. But Blu-rays and games on point today. I'll show you everything in the pickup video. Let's hit the next store. Pretty neat. That's sick. It's like wooden movie posters from the 90s. dope. This Matrix one's really sick. Too bad it's Revolutions. Reloaded was the GOAT. So the stark difference between Salvation Army and the local Goodwill, just pretty much junk on the shelves. No Blu-rays, games, shovelware, Wii games. I mean, just so uninspired, nothing to look at. I don't know if they're doing online or what, but this is just embarrassing. Just embarrassing. No problem with retail space here. No problem at all. Look at all this. Goodwill's overflowing with stuff falling off the shelves. This is just nothing. Nothing. Just 20-year-old DVDs. Epic. Kind of cool to see original box. You always see Guitar Hero junk, but pretty rare to see the actual box out in the wild. I remember I actually bought this set. It's probably in high school, but neat to see the box. Not that it's worth anything. It's just for every 100 guitars you see, you actually see one complete in box like this. It's pretty neat to remind you that it was a cool product at one time. Solid value right there if it works. Pulled out the case and look at it. Probably worth about 40 bucks. Again with the garbage GameCube games. Would trade all these for one solid game. But at least they're getting turned in. Blu-ray selection not on point here. Happy Feet starring Shia LaBeouf. Rio, which I just saw at factory sealed at a previous Goodwill. And great schlock, early 2000s. Like one of The Rock's first films, actually, maybe his first big blockbuster. Outside of The Mummy 2, which was world-class CGI. Look at the games, comparable to what was here last week when I came in. Not too much new inventory. Would appear a game store or something. Donated for tax purposes here, a bunch of sports games and junk. Interesting puzzle game here. I like that kind of holographic art in the front. Over here in the book section, Big Box Myst. A lot of nostalgia with this game. They always tried to sell it to us at elementary school. I don't know if it was advertised as a educational game or what, but they always did these scholastic things where they would try to sell, fifth graders this game back in 1999. And I always wanted to get it, but it was out of my price range. I remember it's just like a point and click adventure if I'm not mistaken. Really cool to see this big box. I don't even know if it has any value, but it looks like the contents are in there for the most part. Cool. And yeah, you can see there, I mean, this is early 90s. Really neat find. Don't know if it has value, I'll have to look that up. So, picked up Myst, graphing calculator. Knew I'd be dealing with some bullshit when it was in the case. 20 bucks for it and it didn't turn on. So, those are somewhat notorious for not working, but if they do work, they are a really quick resell. Very easy. There's always college kids on eBay looking to save on the item that retails for 90 bucks. So it would have been cool to pick that up and basically pay for my entire day worth of shopping. But some bullshit managerial stuff. They charged me a book for Myst, so $2 I was going to leave it behind even if it's not worth anything. It's kind of a cool thing to look through. Show you everything in the pickup recap right now. What is going on, Team Tenors? Let's get involved in some awesome pickups. 1 week from now I'll be heading to Oktoberfest in Munich. And that will probably be my final resting place. So I'm going to try to enjoy as much game hunting as possible the next couple weeks. Weather is nicer in Tucson, yard sales popping off, and Goodwill donations popping off. Great for me, and I want to get as much as possible in. Would have gone yard selling this morning, but I worked 16 hours last night, got off work at 7 a.m., and did not have the energy to go yard selling. So Goodwill, carried me forward. Awesome finds, awesome stuff to look at my Goodwill, that is. Other Goodwill and Salvation Army, pretty bad reviews. But let's get into what we got at my Goodwill. Awesome day for the one store, and it's like a mile from my house, so I should have just stuck with this one Goodwill, and then I would have had an awesome day. Still had an awesome day, but did waste some time at the end of it. Kind of spoiled a little bit of the fun. Get involved with the first find. Right when I walked in the door, I saw this Dungeons and Dragons Eye of the Beholder on Game Boy Advance. I like Dungeons and Dragons. I've played the board game quite often, and never seen this Game Boy Advance game. Probably the type of game that ages well because it's going to be a slow-paced, methodical, tactical game where you do a lot of reading and a lot of scenarios. That ages well, better than like 3D. Let's try to make a 3D GBA game. Those don't age too well in my opinion. The slower-paced RPGs are still very playable today, so I'm going to give that a playthrough this week and see how I like it. Getting into the value, I didn't even look up the value. I actually still don't know the value of this. Inuyasha. Remember watching this anime in like 7th grade at someone's house. Didn't know it was a PS2 game, but know it's going to have some value just because it's going to be based off a popular anime. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure it's going to be like a $15 to $25 game at least. So I picked it up. Looks like it came with a trading card at some point. Really cool find. I'll talk to you guys in the next week, probably on Wednesday, about Goodwill's inventory process. Last week I went back there and actually talked to employees and understood a lot more about what goes on, when stuff comes out, when the best time to go in is, and why a lot of good games go online, and how they figure out what goes online. That being said, I still find $20 games and stuff all the time, so I don't know if they're doing exactly what they should be doing as far as inventorying everything and relegating everything to online that has value. Pretty exciting Blu-ray here and really cool cover art. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Some people got super butthurt that they broke the last movie into 2 parts, but the amount of content there, we would have been borderline Lord of the Rings. And from a box office standpoint, why would we have one blockbuster when we can just break it into 2 and have $2 billion blockbusters? No brainer from the studio's perspective. And I wasn't the biggest Harry Potter fan, so I wasn't super like butthurt that I had to wait a year to see what happened. I knew what happened. Everyone knew how the books ended, so it wasn't a big surprise. Cool to get 2 movies. Butthurt that like Game of Thrones is downsizing to 6 episodes. I wish we were getting more content, but hopefully we'll actually get some story arc and acting instead of just schlocky medieval high fantasy. Speaking of schlock, I absolutely love this movie since the day I saw it in theaters. Swordfish. Ensemble cast: John Travolta, Halle Berry, Hugh Jackman in fine fitting form, and don't forget Don Cheadle. I forgot about him. Hacker movie from the early 2000s, which they're always fun to watch. I mean, there's that one movie with Angelina Jolie. They're always like perfect 10 A-list Hollywood actors hacking. It's not what they look like. The one that really made me roll my eyes is the one with Thor that came out a few years ago, where he's magically a perfect 10 human being, but he's also a great hacker. Literally laughed out loud when I saw that trailer. That's not how computer hackers generally look, and I imagine that's not how computer hacking actually looks. But Swordfish had some great lines. John Travolta's character was awesome, and they definitely pulled the rug out from under you several times, fake out deaths and stuff. Still ages pretty well in my opinion, and of course Halle Berry naked scene, can't complain too much about that. As I mentioned, every hipster edgy middle school kid loved this movie. I think it's going to age all right. Brad Pitt, Edward Norton. The big twist, if you don't know, obviously, is it's just a guy with split personality and he ends up blowing up a bunch of skyscrapers. Some messages about anti-materialism. Just some fun acting and some really good editing, I think, in the earlier parts when it kind of explains how Edward Norton's day-to-day life is and how consumerism has kind of demasculated him, I guess. Some really good editing, some really good montages, some really interesting scenes, especially the scene when they talk about if they're going to do a recall after a car accident and they compare it to the value of the lawsuit. And if the value of the lawsuit is less, they won't recall it and they'll just let people die in horrific deaths. I don't know if that's how it actually works, but some really good, interesting scenes from Brad Pitt's character kind of enlightening Edward Norton. And too bad Edward Norton's career has kind of ended. I don't know if that's by choice or if he's been kind of blacklisted. Haven't seen him in a lot of stuff for the last 10, 15 years.
Kaku, I don't even know how to pronounce this. Otu Chojin, Xbox only game. Looks like a pretty epic fighting game. Didn't know anything about it, never seen it, so I knew it was a bit uncommon because I've done a lot of game hunting. And it was nice condition, so just kind of as a novelty, ended up picking it up for $4. I love to see that only 4, be it PS2, GameCube, Xbox. Love to see that stamp telling you that it is an exclusive. To me, always immediately adds a little bit more value, a little bit more chance of me buying it, even if it is shovelware schlock. But this looks like kind of a brutal, violent fighting game for $4. Saw some sold listings going for $10, $15, so it did have some value. This also does have some value, I believe. Simpsons Road Rage. Crazy Taxi clone set in the Simpsons universe. Some really fun lore if you like the show. Some good humor, and I remember renting it at Blockbuster. I remember the gameplay being solid. Pretty much what you expect from like a drive around town chaos game. Some destructible environments and whatnot. Shout out to Universal Studios, has that really cool Simpsons land now. I just got back from there a year or two ago. Really fun. As I said, anyone that grew up with the Simpsons in the 90s, it's fun to see all that lore. Very nostalgic, and I'm sad the Back to the Future stuff got displaced for it, which was disappointing. But with the direction Hollywood's going, surely we'll get some horrible Back to the Future remake starring an African-American female, and then we'll get a new Back to the Future ride based off of that. Let's get into the last find. Pick this up just because of like elementary school nostalgia. Myst. Don't know anything about it besides the fact that it's a point and click. Was $1.99, big box, and like I said, it's from like the mid 90s. We always had these Scholastic events at my school, a company called Scholastic, I think. They came in, they tried to sell us a bunch of books and like pins and like ribbons and nonsense. And then I remember Myst was always advertised. Anytime we went to one of these, there was Myst and Riven and all those other games in the same little company or whatever, and I'm not sure why they were trying to advertise as video games. Pretty cool in hindsight, but very nostalgic for me to see this just because it was one of those games. As a kid, just because it was a video game, I wanted it, but my parents would never buy it for me because it was like $30 or whatever, and let's be honest, it's probably not that educational. So cool find, $1.99, probably definitely worth that. They charged me the book prices. That is it for the finds today. Really good lot, obviously. Spent I think $26 total. Should be able to get that on resale for 1 or 2 of the items and keep everything else completely for free, which is always my goal. Appreciate you guys watching. The channel's been doing well. We're getting a lot of views. More importantly to me, we're getting a lot of comments. My last video had like 100 comments in the first 24 hours talking about annoying things at garage sales. Love to hear that stuff from you. It triggers a lot of memories for me, things I forget about. And then as always, you guys let me know anytime I miss a valuable game or skip over something. You guys always let me know in the comments section. You guys are a valuable tool to me. Hopefully I'm providing some sort of entertainment or education to you guys as well in exchange. Really appreciate you guys. If you guys could leave a thumbs up, that'd be awesome. I will be back midweek. I'm going to talk about Goodwill inventorying policies. Like I said, I went into the back room, talked to a couple employees, and learned quite a bit of stuff. I want to talk to you guys about that in another video. I don't want to make this video too long, too clickbaity. So I'll be back later on in the week, guys. Appreciate it. Take care.